Hey everyone, Casey Irvine here, and welcome back to my Building Overcut series. This is video 2 in the series, and I'll try to keep this one pretty short. Definitely some cool updates that went into the game this week, but not a ton. So as you can see, we're making some progress towards milestone 1. We're 17 out of 20, but we did hit some kind of major, not blockers, but definitely big hurdles to get over. One is sound, and I kind of naively thought, oh, I'll just maybe buy some sound off of the Fab Marketplace or some other marketplace. Turns out getting sound that you know you can trust is either really expensive or it's free, but you have to kind of like figure out how to hand edit it. So I did play around with hand editing some free sounds, but it did not go well. So we're still working on this. And then also in terms of art, I ended up creating this agent that could take a prompt and it would try out a few different like image generation models. One's local, some are hosted in Azure, and then it takes that and puts that up to Trippo if it thinks that those images are good enough, and then it creates a 3D model from that. And then the whole process is checking it, refining it, and then if it has any questions, it kind of checks back in with me. And I'll show you what that kind of produced. It's not bad, but it does make me realize that even with this, I need to get some knowledge on how to edit things in Blender and be able to hand touch up these things. And more importantly, I feel like I'm getting to the point where now I want to understand how to do this myself without having to rely on AI and maybe even do some of this from scratch. So I'm going to commit more time than I really originally had thought to learning how to do some of these things in 3D object modeling and Blender and that good stuff. And then same with the sound. I thought it was going to be kind of drag and drop, but you know I'm almost kind of excited to know that it's not just that. It's not just purchase something from the store and make it work. It's actually, we got to give it some time and attention. And I think that's what um, makes some of this game development stuff really cool, because it is an art form and you're going to touch a lot of different disciplines. So yeah. Uh, with that, I will show you some of the stuff that we did put in. We definitely tuned the car to handle a lot more like a, really hyper futuristic prototype car. Feels a little bit more like an F1 car or something that's really high performant, and kind of balanced out the controls a little better. We added some HUD elements. We have a lap timing system now. So definitely making a lot of progress, and just kind of these last two art bits are maybe what's going to block this milestone, or make it take a little bit longer. So we may even punt these, because I do want to add some of the elements that are in milestone 2, and we don't need any of these art things. So if this is going to take a little while, I might punt these out. But without further ado, let's go ahead and launch into our watch session. So you can see that in the top left, we have a lap counter and the different sector times, and it also keeps track of your last time plus your best time. In the bottom right, we have just sort of like, this is probably going to maybe be like a little bit of a debug UI, or maybe something we keep, because I know other racing games have these things shown where you see your throttle, your brake, and your steering input. And then what's cool is we have like the tire state, so it shows like any kind of slippage, where it'll show the amount of slippage as a color and a bar, and then the direction of the slippage appears as like a line. So when you see we have wheel spin, there's a line above the tire. When we have any kind of sliding sideways, there'll be a line to the side of the tire where it's sliding. And then we also have an indication of what tire compound. Planning on kind of going with the F1 model, we have a soft, medium, and hard compound that'll go different lengths but have different performance characteristics. And so for right now, we just have what I would call the medium compound tires on. And then, biggest thing, we have like a typical dashboard gauge where you have gear, you have kilometers per hour, you have RPMs, and then like an RPM indicator that helps you know when to shift. So these are definitely some big quality of life improvements, but also just a minimal UI that you would expect out of a racing game. Obviously, there's a lot of polish that could be added to this, but yeah, it is definitely starting to feel a little bit more like a racing game prototype. With this iteration. And one of the other things we had to do is we had to tune that section right there as you were coming up the hill, because we actually had some issues in the track where it would cause the car to kind of bounce and vibrate, especially as we increase the performance. So we also had to do some track tuning as well as car tuning, just to make sure that it feels like a real track versus like something you just kind of molded out of the ground. All right, and that concludes the lap. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, folks. Hopefully this inspires you to maybe go out and try to make a prototype yourself, and I'll definitely keep you posted with all the project progress we make. But yeah, happy coding.